Guys, if you could each talk about this, how long did you first know after the Kentucky-Florida game the other night that you were in first place by yourselves?
I think after we played Georgia, we were all kind of watching the game in the dorm, and just waiting to see what was going to happen. But after that game happened, you kind of knew that we were going to be number one in the standings. So Coach talked about it the other day about a couple of years ago we were last in the standings, and now we're first. So we can't be complacent. We can't look at it and be like our work is done. We still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of games left, and we're going to be prepared the best way we can to win those games.
Just to piggyback what Duane said, we always in the dorms watching the game. We knew if they dropped that game that we would be, first in the SEC right now. So, we were just watching the game, just hoping and waiting. And, just like Duane said, just to see where this program is going. Coach explained to us, it was tough climbing that ladder, but it's real easy to fall off. So, we're just trying to stay the course now.
Yeah, PJ, you talk about staying the course. Easier said than done for a program that, again, is now in a position to do something it hasn't done in 20 years, and that's win the conference. And you guys control how this title race plays out.
Right. We just take it one game at a time. Game by game, day by day, one step at a time. And, I think if we do that, we'll stay the course.
Duane, as a senior, what's it like having gone through 4 years and now having the target on your back and be like being the hunted instead of the hunters?
It's definitely better than being the hunter. It feels better to be the hunter because that all the hard work is kind of paying off. But at the same time, it means that like PJ said, it's the ladder. It's easy to fall off. It was a long process to get to this point, but I think that's one of the reasons and one of the cool things of being recruited to come to this program. I think one of the focal points is to help rebuild the program, and I think we're doing a good job of that. But like we said, we can't stop. We got to stay the course, and it feels good. But at the same time, it'll feel better if we accomplish some more goals that come up in the future.
For both of you guys too, is it going to be easy to stay the course when everybody around you, friends, classmates, family, they want to talk about first place and how great things are?
I think as a team, we kind of like block that out. Right now, the most important family is our basketball team. Obviously we focus on school and things like that, but, we don't worry too much about the rankings. Like we say all the time, we get that stuff from you guys. So, as a team, we're just focused on the next opponent, the next game, and making sure we play the best basketball we can play.
Duane, after the ball game the other day, Mike was talking about how tough it was adjusting to the grind of the SEC and playing a game every few days. I mean, how has he dealt with that? And then PJ, can you relate to what that's like dealing with that for the first time?
I think he's doing a tremendous job, getting better with it. Being a freshman and playing that many minutes is tough. I know PJ can speak from that experience, just coming in, just getting kind of thrown into the fire like that. It's kind of hard for Mike because he doesn't really have a big in front of him that's been here before besides Chris to kind of help him go through the stuff. So you know how hard we practice. So going through tough practices and then going through the games, coming out of high school, wherever you're coming from, to come to the school, it's a tremendous change. You got to adjust to it, and I think he's doing that now, and that's why he's playing well.
Definitely. I think Mike is doing a tremendous job, with the whole adjustment. It's tough. Everyone can tell you how it's going to go, but, you don't really know until you go through it. And, he's doing a great job.
Guys, Alabama was the team that stopped your undefeated streak last year. How tough will they be, even though the game's going to be here? And what's different about them from last year?
Not that we need any, other form of motivation, but, the fact that Georgia's beat us how many times last year, that kind of motivated us. And the fact that, like you said, they stopped us. They beat us pretty bad at their home place in front of everybody, and, they're dancing and stuff like that. That kind of stuck with us. So I think that's going to be motivation for us to kind of make sure that we don't drop this game and that, we have the best practices that we can before we play the game.
For either one of you, can you talk about the cohesiveness of this team? When you guys are all healthy or all in the starting lineup, you haven't lost a game yet when you're talking about the starting five for you guys. Can you talk about just the cohesiveness and what makes this team so good and so special when everyone's playing at the same time together?
I think, just as a unit, I think we all know each other, knew each other's games. Especially the starting five. I feel like we have a great chemistry. I think our team has a lot of depth. I think it just, it's kind of goes off of how we practice. We all practice hard. We all play hard. We switch. We intertwine. We change the teams up so everybody gets to know each other. And I think that we're all on the same page. We kind of look out for each other. And I think this team does a good job. Everyone playing their role. Everyone has their role, and they do their role and they play it well. So whether that's if I'm hitting shots and PJ hits me, or whether that's PJ attacking the basket, or he's hitting shots and I hit him, or whether it's Sendarius doing what he has to do, or getting the ball into the post, I think everybody knows their role and their job is to play it well.
Do you think you guys are playing at pretty close to peak level as a team, or where do y'all get better over the next couple of weeks?
I definitely feel like we have a lot more room to grow. Just seeing where this team started, from the beginning of the year to now, I think we make certain jumps that we have to make, and I just feel like we have room to grow all the time, whether it's defensively or offensively. I don't think we had a full, complete game yet, so I think there's definitely room to grow.
For you guys, talked to Coach on Saturday night, and he said that for him it's a relief when you win, it's disappointment when you lose. But this season's been awesome for you guys, 9 wins already in conference play. What's those W's like for you guys? And then he said he watched the Kentucky game. What did you notice out of them after their struggles there in Gainesville?
I think, the coaches, they kind of harp on it all the time that you have to try and build a winning culture. And once you, construct a winning culture, then it allows you to have that in your DNA. And once that's in your DNA, guys just, they play with that will, they play with that fight, that power, and then it's kind of hard to leave. And like you said, losing is a disappointment. But, when you have, I think good leadership and you have guys that have been through it before, then you're able to understand that you can't let one game, one bad loss turn into another. So I think our team has that kind of winning culture and DNA that, we've been lacking for the past couple of years, and just the leadership. And in terms of, playing in Gainesville, we haven't played there. I know I haven't played this since my freshman year. And we know it's a great place to play at. It's a tough place to play at. But, Florida's a good team. And I don't know what happened in that Kentucky game, but, all we can do is prepare for them the best that we can.
Duane, you went through that stretch where the shot wasn't going down for you from a three-point range, and now you're knocking it down with consistency. What's been the difference from then to now?
Like I always say, I don't even know how to answer that question. I mean, you can ask PJ. I do the same thing every day in terms of preparation. We shoot before and after practice, especially PJ and I and Justin and Sin, and I try to get extra shots up where I can. But in terms of my form or getting shots, I don't know. Coach still runs the same play, so I guess it's a confidence thing. But kudos to the guys like PJ who always find me and allows my confidence to grow, and I'm able to hit that shot consistently.
Sorry to duck back to it, but at the end of that Kentucky-Florida game, did you guys allow yourself a moment to celebrate, or what was the immediate reaction to that game being over with, knowing you're in first place?
I don't think we really allowed ourselves to celebrate. I think it was more so a drive to continue to play well, and continue to win the games that we know we need to win to stay in first place.
Duane, PJ said he doesn't think y'all played a complete full game yet. Which game would you agree with that, first of all, and what game do you think kind of came the closest to being a complete game by you guys?
I don't know if I can pinpoint any specific game that we played a complete game at. Probably Auburn, maybe that game. But we're our biggest critics, and we know we have a lot of things that we need to work on. And our staple is defense, but at the same time we got to work on our rebounding and things like that. So it's hard to play a complete game, but that's what we strive for. So like you said, we haven't peaked yet, and there's room for growth, and that's why we practice. And who knows when that will happen, but we're going to continue to strive for it every day.
I know a lot of guys will talk about how Thornwell's just an incredible scorer, and you'll hear a lot of that, whether it's on, SEC Network, ESPN, or whatever. But when you see him the other day, I know there was one play in particular when he took that charge. what does that do to you guys? I mean, I know you guys push each other. You guys are always going to try to make each other better. But when you see a guy like that everyone just talks about his scoring, standing there for defense, he takes the charge. I mean, what kind of energy does that give you guys?
I definitely think Sin, his game is underrated. Everyone sees just the scoring aspect, but you know, when he's out on the floor, he affects every part of the game. You know, whether it's defense, rebounding, like you said, taking charges, just little things like that to you know, get the rest of the team motivated. You know, when a guy like that can do small things like that to motivate his team, you know, it really helps us grow.
PJ, are you more comfortable with being aggressive on offense, with driving the lane instead of settling for jump shots? Is that something Frank's kind of been on you about?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely, you know, one part that Coach Frank has been helping me out with tremendously this year. You know, just to continue to have that aggressive mindset. And, you know, every time, well, I feel like, you know, every time I keep that aggressive mindset, you know, those are the games that I come out and play well, you know, not even just offensively, but also defensively.
You guys having a chance to visit with some of the former greats here over the weekend, I know at the event Friday night and then after the game Saturday. Anything that any of them said to you that stands out as far as just talking about chasing the championship and trying to do what they did 20 years ago?
I would say Coach Fogler. You know, he spoke a little bit at the event, and you know, just telling us how, you know, how proud he is first and foremost, and also just, you know, kind of like how we said, you know, climbing that ladder was hard, but you know, staying there that's the tough part, and you know, just to try to stay on track and continue to do what we've been doing.
Last question to Joe.
I know you guys say you don't really pay attention to the rankings. You try to put on blinders and focus on what is just in front of you. But do you ever get irked occasionally if you peek at the rankings and you see right now it's Florida and Kentucky are ahead of you, even though you guys are first in the SEC? And does that give you even more motivation to continue to work even harder to finish where you guys want to by the end of the year?
I think it does, but at the end of the day, you know, the rankings don't define us. I feel like, you know, our play, our you know, characters, our people, you know, our system, that's what defines us, not the rankings that are put out against us. So, you know, wherever we're ranked, that's not really indicated on how we've been playing. We're not trying to focus on that. We're trying to focus on, you know, one goal at a time. And right now, that goal is winning the SEC.